We're back with tonight's focus on candidates for state representative in the 14th Suffolk District, mainly including Hyde Park, Readville, and most of Roslindale. The district's currently represented by Angelo Scaccia, who's not running for re-election. Our guest is one of the candidates competing for the seat in the Democratic primary on September 1st. He's been a law student, notary public, and a constable, as well as a bus driver for the MBTA. We'd like to welcome Duckens Petit-Maitre. Thank you very much for being with us, Duckens.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Because this has been an interesting year for you because you have this background. You've also had a struggle with COVID-19. So how has that shaped you for this race?
Well, that actually gave me the strength to go back to the community, seeing what's been going on with the healthcare issues, not having enough PPE, knowing that how bad this virus is. Because I've been to it. That's one of the things that we've been talking about in the campaign trail, telling people if you're not in my shoes, you cannot understand my need. You cannot understand the struggle I'm going through. The fact that I went through this, my entire family went through it. My two young boys that I'm raising went through the same issue that I went through with the virus, COVID-19. It is important to step back in the race, to fight for what's right for the community, for the healthcare, for the first responders, to make sure they have enough PPE, to make sure that they are protected as they're helping us get back on our feet, because it is a very violent virus. It's not a joke. It is something that people need to take seriously and fight against it. So that's the reason why I think that with the fact that I went to this virus, gave me enough confidence to come out and then fight for the healthcare system, despite of the disparities in our community. And we feel like it is important to have a voice, a new voice, and to fight for what's right for the community.
Of course, another way to put this, thinking mainly of your role as a bus driver and previously with United Food Workers, is that you could be an advocate for essential workers, of which there are many in the district. What would you do for them?
That's a very good question. One of the things that I noticed, because as a first essential worker out there working, that's how I got exposed with the COVID-19. We feel like, they're not being protected enough. One of the things that we will work with is make sure to prevent if there's any, for God's sake, a pandemic, even worse than this one. We would not, that's not what we wish, but if something like that ever repeat itself, we want to make sure that they are protected enough. They have enough protection, or if we can call it PPE, to make sure that they are not vulnerable out there. Because once they're out there, they're trying to take people from point A to point B, okay, on the public transportation. So we want to make sure they are protected. That way they don't bring that to their family. And that's what happened to me. And when we see the store, the grocery stores, the UFCW that I used to work for, and they are there, they're still open because people need food to go to, despite of the COVID-19, they still have to open their doors to serve the community. So we want to make sure that we compensate them. We want to make sure that we embrace them, make them feel comfortable that we back them up, we support them, we understand what they're doing for us, and to support them. And what we will put in place is to make sure at post COVID-19, and they have a system that in place to take care of the healthcare system, make sure they have enough protection, and to protect them while they're at work and after the post COVID-19.
I want to ask you about COVID-19 and the schools. There are people in the district with different feelings. Some of them, I think, really want their kids to be able to go to school in a school building, and some others don't think the buildings are safe enough. How do you make all of those people satisfied?
This is one of the things. I am a proud parent of two young boys. They are public students, public school students. What I would do is I would love to see school open back, but at the same time, we want the school to be open in a safe manner. So I think we gotta work with the school system and make sure the system, the environment for the students, the kids are safe enough. I understand I'm not a trained educated to train, the way the teachers are training the student. I cannot do their job. I would love the interaction between the student and the teachers, but at the same time, it has to be in a safe manner. So I would proudly support the hybrid system, but I don't feel like the school is ready right now, because with the spike, we noticed that certain cities are having the coronavirus testing are going high. So we want to make sure we embrace the issue that's going on and protect the kids and protect the environment they're going to be in, and protect the teachers as well, because we not only the student, but the teachers also has to be safe, have to be in an environment where they're going to feel comfortable to teach the kids.
As you are aware, there are a lot of things in play right now as far as police reforms and accountability going on at the State House. There's a lot of agreement, but one area where I think there's disagreement is about qualified immunity, and this is what protects individual officers and some other officials from being sued, essentially. Should that be changed that much?
I would agree with you, yes, because I would have to sit down to see what qualified immunity is exactly. So I understand that if you commit a crime, you have to pay the consequences. You have to pay the consequences for it. Justice must be served. That's one of the things, as a vice chair for Ward 18, we gathered together. We voted on resolution where we voted on the city to on reduction of the fund by 15%. After we voted on it all together as a as a executive board, we sent it back to the mayor. So we wanted to see. This is one of the things that I want to make sure that people understand. I'm not for the funding the law enforcement system. I am for reduction of the budget for overtime. So I don't get me wrong. There's good cops. There's bad cops. But we want to make sure we work together and then promote more training. So I am for more training for the police officers. Make sure they understand the system, and make sure before they are there, so we know they know what they're facing. So one of the things that I am for, I would advocate for more community policing. So where I understand the way they recruit people in the police force now, you have to be having some sort of background in service, and they give that person more priority. But at the same time, you gotta be from the community to represent the community. If you're not a police officer, if you become a police officer and they send you to a certain area that you're not familiar with, you don't understand the community, it's gonna be hard for you to serve the community. So it is important to hire people from the community. Just like I said earlier, if you're not in my shoes, you don't know exactly what I'm going through, you cannot represent me. You don't know exactly my problem is. So you definitely have to be in my shoes. You gotta went through the problem that I went. So for you to understand the issue, that's what I think it's best to have someone from the community to represent, to serve the community as a police officer, to represent the community and in all integrity.
I want to ask you about the people right now who are worried about paying their rent. We do have a moratorium on evictions and foreclosures for a couple of more months, but beyond that, there are some legislators who want to extend it at least for a year. Do you favor that?
I do, to be honest with you, because right now, as we looking at, people are losing their jobs, businesses are closing their doors due to COVID-19, and people are not able to go to work. And not even that, if they have little ones, they cannot go to work because the kids are not able to go to school. They're not able to return back to school. And I feel like there's going to be, we cannot put pressure on the tenants to pay their rent while they have no other way, no other means, because their kids, stay with them. So they have a way to send the kids to school. So if they can't, they have to stay with them. So therefore, they cannot go to work. I think, a year, it's much better than, and then putting pressure on them. And with what's going on, it's, they already have one shoulder with heavy lift up with the COVID-19. And now you're going to put another heavy weight on them due to non-payment. And that's one of the things, and I'm going to keep repeating myself. If you've never been a tenant you will know exactly what the tenants are going through. And I think it is important to have someone like myself who's been a tenant before I owned my own property in Hyde Park, Peel Street. So I used to be a tenant. I was a tenant. I would say 8 years ago, before, I was a tenant. So I knew the problem they're going through. So that's the reason why I think I am the best candidate in this race right now, that been there, understand the struggle they're going through, to fight for them, to advocate for them. And I promise them I won't be the first person to see during the election, after the election, they won't see me anymore. I will be the first person they're gonna see every day, every time. They might be tired of seeing me because I'm gonna be out there.
I have one more question and one more issue that there has been another push for at the State House recently, and that is to allow unauthorized immigrants to have Massachusetts driver's licenses. How do you come down on that?
That's a very good question again. I don't think it's fair, because if they're in this country, they're paying taxes. I think it's fair for them to be able to use a mean of transportation to get to point A to point B. So I think it's fair to grant them the access to their license, so that way they can they be able to get to work faster and contribute to the community, contribute to the economy of the community. So if they're not able to do that, they're not able to contribute to the community. I think it's fair to work with them. I am in favor of grant them the access to license. As an immigrant person, I was not born in this country. I was born and partially raised in Haiti, and I came here with a young age. I feel like, I feel the pain they're going through. I feel what they're going through, and I am willing to advocate for them. I am willing to fight for them, to make sure they understand they have exactly what they need to have in order for them to be able to provide to themselves and their family.
Well, what got you so interested in politics and community engagement?
That's a very good question again. This is one of the best questions I was waiting for. And this is the reason why I jump in the race, because I feel like politicians are not speaking for everyone in this and when they get in office. So one thing I notice is that politicians have tendency to pretend that they are part of you. They understand the community. They understand the struggle the community going through. And in reality, they're not, because all they really need is your vote. Once they get elected, they're MIA, they're missing in action. You never see them. They change their phone. You won't see them again. So, and then one of the things too, they don't understand the problem the community is going through. They pretend they understand it, but they're not there. So if you have opportunity 13 years ago, you didn't bring the community, you didn't bring the government to the community. What makes it so different now? You think that you can bring the government to the community? Because I am for the government. I feel like government should be for the people, should work in favor of the people. That's the reason why I'm in this race. I want to bring the government. The House will be coming back to the community. So that's my promise. I guarantee them that will be done once I get in the office.